What if I told you that the man who spent 20 years protecting his wife's image, defending her scandals, and standing by her side just collapsed onto the courthouse steps, while that same wife walked out the door smiling, holding hands with Chris Weber? Because that's exactly what just happened. Jackie Christie, the former NBA star turned reality TV husband, just faced the most humiliating courtroom betrayal of his life. After hours of testimony, leaked hotel footage, and a brutal paternity cross-examination, Jackie exited the courtroom looking like a broken man, his suit soaked in sweat, his knees buckling beneath the weight of 20 years of lies. And Jackie? She strutted out behind him in heels, sunglasses on, smiling like she just won an award. But she didn't leave alone. She left arm in arm with Chris Weber, the man who not only slept with her, but might be the real father of the daughter Jackie raised. You can't make this up. The cameras caught it. The internet broke. And Jackie might have just lost everything. The court had barely recessed for lunch when chaos exploded outside. Jackie Christie had entered that morning a broken man, but still composed, still trying to hold together the last few scraps of dignity he had left. But by the time he stepped back outside, he was trembling, jaw clenched, fists shaking, like a man who just realized he'd been played for 20 years. It was the moment no one expected to go viral. But of course it did. Jackie, with his lawyer whispering in his ear, tried to make it to the black SUV waiting by the curb. He barely made it down the steps. Cameras clicked like machine guns. Reporters swarmed. Questions flew. Jackie, do you believe the DNA results were faked? Is Jackie really leaving with Chris Weber? Were you ever the father? Jackie didn't answer. He couldn't, because in that exact moment, like a scene straight out of a Greek tragedy, Jackie Christie stepped out the double doors looking like she was walking a fashion runway. Oversized sunglasses, burgundy designer coat, a smirk that said, "I won." But the final twist? She wasn't alone. Chris Weber was right beside her, hand on her lower back, matching smirk, the man who had just testified under oath that he never stopped loving Jackie, even during her marriage. And right behind them, VH1 producers and a camera crew, filming everything like they knew this moment wasn't just reality TV, it was reality history. Jackie froze. He turned just in time to see them descend the courthouse steps, laughing, whispering something to each other. Jackie even waved at the paparazzi like this was the BET Awards. Jackie collapsed. Not a dramatic faint. Not a dive. Just knees gone, legs folded, body down like his soul tapped out before his muscles did. His lawyer grabbed him. A reporter screamed. Flashbulbs popped. Jackie Christie, once an NBA icon, once the loyal husband millions envied, was now the man who raised another man's child, financed a decade-long lie, and found out on national television that the woman he loved had never stopped seeing her ex. And Jackie didn't even look back. That's when it all came flooding in. The texts, the footage, the silence from Chantel, their daughter. Because just hours earlier, in a closed session, the judge confirmed the DNA was real. Chris Weber was Chantel's biological father, and Jackie had known for at least 10 years. She had signed fake medical documents, had Chris's name removed from the birth certificate, and had allegedly paid off an old clinic to destroy the original DNA results from when Chantel was a baby. And still, she smiled walking out. Twitter exploded. Jackie Christie just fell apart on those steps, and Jackie walked out like it was a brunch date with her side dude, Chris Weber, smiling like he didn't just destroy a whole family. VH1 better pay Jackie alimony for this humiliation. That night, the headlines wrote themselves. Jackie didn't issue a statement. He didn't post anything. His team only said he was emotionally overwhelmed and recovering in private. But the internet wasn't so quiet. Fans dug up old basketball wives clips, ones where Jackie defended Jackie during cheating rumors. Clips where Jackie would swear on camera. Chris Weber?
He's my past.
Jackie is my forever. Now, those clips were memes. Viral edits showed her saying, "Jackie is my forever," followed by the new footage of her walking out with Chris. VH1 tried to pretend they weren't orchestrating this disaster, but viewers weren't stupid. The network's Instagram was flooded with clown emojis. Protest hashtags trended worldwide. Hashtag protect Doug, hashtag Jackie knew this was all scripted. Even Chantel, usually silent, posted one cryptic IG story that shattered hearts. Imagine watching the man who raised you collapse while the one who created you just smirks. People didn't know who to hate more, Jackie for the lie or Chris for the timing. Because according to leaked emails from Jackie's former assistant, Chris waited to go public with the affair until he knew the DNA test had processed.
Why?
Because he wanted Jackie back. Let that sink in. The man who broke her marriage, exposed her secret child, and dragged Doug through the courts didn't do it for justice. He did it for reunion. And Jackie played right into it. Inside sources claimed Jackie and Chris had been meeting privately for over a year. Not just for closure, but for rekindling. Supposedly, the hotel clip that first leaked was only the tip of the iceberg. Several other hotel stays, out-of-town business trips, and even joint therapy sessions have been reported since then. One VH1 insider even told a blogger, Jackie was done with Doug before the DNA test. She just needed a way out that wouldn't make her look like the bad guy. Well, how'd that work out? Doug wasn't just humiliated, he was ruined. Emotionally.
Publicly.
Financially. Rumors are swirling now that he's planning a $12 million lawsuit against both Jackie and VH1 for emotional distress, exploitation, and career sabotage. And Chris? Oh, he's got his own problems coming. Doug's legal team just filed a court motion to subpoena all communication between Chris and Jackie over the last 15 years. Texts, emails, voicemails, burner phones, everything. They want to prove that the affair never actually ended, and that Jackie manipulated Doug into funding a child she knew wasn't his, just to protect Chris's career. This isn't just a love triangle, this is high-level emotional fraud. And Doug's not letting it slide anymore. But even as all this explodes, one image refuses to die. Doug Christie, collapsed on the steps. Jackie Christie, smiling with Chris Weber like nothing ever happened. The court gave Jackie bail, but public opinion just gave her a life sentence of disgrace. Doug's collapse wasn't just physical, it was symbolic. The man who had spent 2 decades as the steady, quiet protector of Jackie Christie now found himself in the eye of the most humiliating storm of his life. And as social media flooded with sympathy memes and a few cold-hearted jokes, Jackie and Chris were nowhere to be found. That same night, paparazzi caught them at a rooftop restaurant in downtown L.A., toasting glasses like a power couple on vacation. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Doug's legal team kicked into overdrive. They weren't just preparing a lawsuit, they were building a narrative. One that painted Doug not just as the betrayed husband, but as the true victim of a long-running deception campaign orchestrated by Jackie and Chris. Lawyers began issuing subpoenas for every email, text, and call between Jackie and Chris dating back to 2003. If Chris Weber thought he was walking away clean, he was about to face a legal full-court press. And then came the bombshell that took the scandal to another level. An anonymous source from VH1's production crew leaked a full season's worth of unaired footage, scenes that never made it to television. Among them, a tearful confession Jackie made to producers on a closed set months ago. In the clip, Jackie admits that she always suspected Chantel wasn't Doug's biological daughter, but was too afraid to face the truth. "I thought I was protecting him," she whispered, mascara running. "I thought he'd leave me. I couldn't lose both of them."
The internet didn't buy it.
Viewers blasted her fake tears, accusing her of being more concerned with image than integrity. One tweet racked up hundreds of thousands of likes. She didn't protect him. She used him like a financial crutch. And now she's smiling like a woman who won the jackpot. And just like that, Chantel entered the conversation again, but not quietly. In an unfiltered IG live, Chantel finally broke her silence. Sitting in a dimly lit room, visibly emotional, she said, "I love my mom, but I've hated what she's become. And if Chris really is my dad, then why did I have to find out in court?" Like a headline, fans flooded the comments. "You deserve the truth, Chantel. Jackie robbed everyone. Doug raised you. He's still your dad." That live went viral. It turned public perception even further in Doug's favor. He wasn't just a betrayed husband anymore. He was now a father figure, wronged by the two people who should have been honest from the beginning. And then the family drama spilled into reality TV. VH1, seizing the moment, announced a special sit-down reunion episode that would feature Doug, Jackie, Chris, and Chantel. The internet couldn't believe it. People screamed exploitation. Petitions popped up demanding VH1 cancel the show. But the truth was, it was already filmed. And the leaks started before the air date even dropped. In the leaked footage, the reunion was a disaster. Doug refused to sit beside Jackie. Chris wore sunglasses the whole time, smug and untouched. Jackie? She came dressed in white, claiming it represented closure and peace. But peace was the last thing that happened. When the host asked if she regretted any of it, Jackie replied, "I regret hurting Doug, but I don't regret the truth. And I don't regret rediscovering my happiness." Doug stood up, looked directly at her, and said, "You didn't rediscover happiness. You rediscovered ego. I was your shield, your platform, and your cover story. You owe me more than regret. You owe me my life back." The room went silent. Even Chris shifted. And then came the final straw. Doug pulled out a manila envelope, handed it to the host, and told them to read it aloud. Inside, proof that Jackie forged hospital records to list Doug as the father, emails from a private investigator hired by Doug, screenshots of bank transfers Jackie sent to a fertility consultant, allegedly to help rework birth records. When Chantel was still a toddler, the host couldn't finish reading it. The crowd gasped. Jackie started crying. But by then, the damage was done. The reunion never aired. VH1 canceled it hours before its release, citing legal concerns. But viewers knew the truth. It wasn't about legality. It was about how damning the footage was. The only thing VH1 wanted to protect now was itself. By the next morning, Doug filed a $15 million lawsuit. Charges included emotional fraud, identity tampering, reputational damage, public defamation, but the biggest piece? He was demanding Jackie return every single dollar he'd spent raising Chantel, claiming it had all been based on paternity deception. Jackie didn't respond directly, but Chris did. In a cryptic tweet, he wrote, "I stood in the truth. That's all I ever did." Doug replied with a simple quote tweet, "Then you'll have no problem showing up for discovery." Mic dropped. But the war wasn't over yet. Jackie's legal team started pushing back, threatening countersuits for defamation and emotional warfare. They accused Doug of dragging personal matters into the public for sympathy points, claiming Jackie had tried multiple times to settle privately, but Doug refused because he wanted to stay relevant. This reignited a massive online debate. Was Doug milking the scandal? Was Jackie actually the villain, or just someone broken, clinging to survival? One viral TikTok summed it up perfectly. Jackie may have smiled walking out that courtroom, but karma was already waiting in the parking lot. And just as part 2 of the saga hit its peak, yet another twist was on the horizon. A second woman came forward, not connected to Jackie, not connected to Chris, but someone who claimed Doug had his own secrets too. The internet gasped. Doug barely had time to catch his breath before the next storm rolled in, and this time, it wasn't Jackie or Chris throwing punches. It was a new face. Her name was Kyla Monroe. She wasn't a celebrity. She wasn't from the entertainment industry. But she came armed with receipts, rage, and a story that flipped the narrative on its head. Kyla claimed she had been in an off-and-on relationship with Doug Christie for nearly 5 years. Yes, 5 years, while he was still married to Jackie. According to her, Doug had confided in her about his suspicions that Chantel wasn't his daughter long before the DNA test. And what's worse, Kyla said Doug had been building a case, screenshot by screenshot, journal entry by journal entry, just waiting for the right moment to strike. He knew, Kyla said in an emotional interview. He knew about Jackie and Chris years ago. He wasn't blindsided. He waited. He plotted. And now he's playing the victim?
Nah.
I'm done protecting him. The internet lit up like a match to gasoline. Memes flooded in. Doug plotting like a Bond villain, Jackie's tears versus Doug's receipts. Even Chris Weber's face was photoshopped onto Courtroom sketch memes with the caption, "I just wanted to hoop." Doug's camp denied everything. His lawyer issued a statement. Mr. Christie has no connection to Ms. Monroe and will be pursuing legal options against false allegations. But it was too late. The damage was already pulsing through every timeline, group chat, and live stream. But Kyla wasn't done. She went live, twice. The first time, she broke down crying, saying Doug promised to leave Jackie for her. The second time, she played a voicemail allegedly from Doug where he said, "When this is over, it's just going to be you and me. Jackie's lies won't ruin us. I swear." Was it real? Was it fake? The internet was split, but the momentum shifted again. For a moment, Jackie wasn't the only villain. People started whispering, was this entire scandal just a power game between narcissists? Meanwhile, Chris Weber tried to stay out of it. But let's be real, his name was on every headline, every trending topic, every late-night joke. One outlet even claimed Chris had been offered a book deal titled, Rebound, My Side of the Jackie Saga. His rep declined to comment, but fans were already photoshopping covers. And then came the trial.
Yes.
Doug took Jackie and Chris to court, and it was televised. The judge allowed cameras in the room due to public interest. And baby, it was more explosive than any reunion special. Doug arrived first, flanked by security.
Sunglasses on.
Jaw tight. Jackie came second, dressed in black this time. Chris, late as usual, but he walked in with that same unbothered calm, like none of this could touch him. Opening statements were brutal. Doug's lawyer accused Jackie of emotional terrorism, saying she manipulated the narrative, exploited his reputation, and orchestrated a paternity hoax with the precision of a career con artist. Jackie's team fired back, calling Doug a bitter man grasping for relevance, accusing him of weaponizing fatherhood to punish a woman who simply wanted happiness. But it was Chantel's testimony that brought the courtroom to a standstill. She took the stand, visibly nervous, and said,